So in a recent video I took a look at this kit. Now it's time to look at the new one. So I have already built the model up out of it, which I'll show you the build process in a moment. But yeah, essentially this kit comes on a single sprue. There is instructions. There isn't a transfer sheet, which, given this thing's like $60, I find a bit lazy. Sure, there isn't many details to a Commissar, but they could have done things like added in stripes for the chainsword. Now, because this Commissar's alternative options are a choice between a chainsword or a power sword, whereas this one's was a choice between a bolt pistol and a plasma pistol, there is a power sword left on the sprue. That's to be expected. So, on to the build. Okay, so in total the build is pretty simple, as you can see. I'm just having things stepped together and attached together, and yeah, we have a Commissar. So, I went on to paint this thing and I did my best to make the model look a bit interesting. I struggled to paint the face. I tried to paint the eyes, didn't quite succeed. Let me just put my hand in the video to allow you to actually see the face sculpt. I'm doing him like that so you can actually see the eyes, and you might even see some whites in there. Yeah, I originally tried painting stripes on the chainsword, but that kind of failed miserably, so instead I chose to paint him up to just have a black scratched chainsword. So yes, I've done various colours on the metallic works and chose to actually make the skull on his chest white rather than keeping it gold. So let's just put him in there and have a look at him. And of course the light wants to be a pain, because the light always wants to be a pain. Let's have a look at that then. Oh, quite as even as it could be. There we go. Still not as even as it could be. Oh well. Just remember with the camera, hey? So, the sculpt itself is nice. The model itself is much more beginner friendly than this sculpt with all the details it's got on it. But that isn't necessarily a bad thing. Now, I quite like that older Commissar over this one. I'm not particularly thrilled at the fact that this kit costs twice the price of the other one and has about as many options in it. I'm also not a fan of the scale increase that makes him much taller than everyone. Like, puts them at the same height. Now, if my phone can focus. He's just a bit taller, although admittedly he is also more dramatically posed. But compared to some of the older models, like actually let's put him next to a Space Marine who's on roughly the same height as him. Look at that. Like, that Space Marine will still be slightly taller than him, I think, but not by much. For those wondering, here's how he compares to my Commissar Yarrick from last year. That took until this year to finish. Oh boy, how life went. Here's how it compares to a KD Company Commander. I'll just put that little base down there so that he's at roughly the same height. I really should base my Cadians. Not my Cadians. I really should actually base most of my guard army. Here he is next to Thaddeus the Purifier. Who is on a custom base. Ogren? Of course the Ogren is bigger than him. The Ogren should be bigger than him. And to no one's great surprise, he's he falls off the base. To no one's great surprise, he's shorter than a sentinel, but the only things that aren't really are overly sized Ogryn within the infantry pool of this army. Plasma. So yes, the model is nice. I'm not a fan of how plain it looks, and hence why it has a red strap on mine that isn't on the base model. Let me just shut the motor down for a moment. So yeah, I added that red stripe just to break the model up a bit visually and make it look a bit more interesting. But I kind of don't like how the hat's gone down in terms of size. Like, look at the difference in terms of sheer mass of hat. To me, commissars have big hats, occasionally have epaulettes, and are either in black or red coats, and generally look terrifying. But yeah, that's my mental image of a commissar kind of thing. The new one works, but not as well as the old. Gonna say, trading this aesthetic for a twice the price model that just looks like he belongs in the SS, I'm not a fan. That being said, I do plan on converting this model at some point, or maybe another one if I get around to buying another one, into a Commissar Yarrick, but that's a ways off. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy. That's been kind of my look at the Commissar. It's a good model, a bit overpriced. Unfortunately, a lot of modern 40k stuff is. But if you're new to the hobby, it's probably worth your time to get it. If you're an existing hobbyist, existing guard player, or if you're a guard player that's already got a few commissars in your collection, you may not need or want this one, or you may want to get this one just because it looks different. Either way, it's a nice sculpt. Part of me would love to get the one that's a Warhammer Events only one, but yeah, getting one of those. We don't have many events that would have it in Australia, and I don't think what was it called? I don't think Arc 40k would have actually had it, even if I'd been able to go. Anyway, from Commissars to Commissar Ogryns. This one is on the channel. This one is my video for tomorrow. The face is as good as I could get it. Anyway, there'll be a full video on that tomorrow. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I will share more in future. Bye.